or is there like a limit to which you will be transparent with, or how do you view that?
That's a good question.
Благослови моих братьев, благослови наши руки. Мы в поисках больших денег, мы в деле круглые сутки. Благослови
Out radio show, man, they everywhere.
Благослови моих братьев. Благослови моих братьев, благослови наши руки. Мы в поисках больших денег, мы в деле круглые сутки. Благослови моих братьев. Благослови моих братьев. Я скрутил себе потолще, я выдыхаю с
Best jam I have ever eaten.
Oh, wow.
I have that as a testimonial.
И не играй со мной свою роль. Со мной молодые братья. Мы возьмем котлеты наличных себе на завтрак. Сегодня, завтра, неважно как я. You, эй, yeah. Благослови моих братьев, благослови наши руки, мы в поисках больших.
All right, y'all. We're tuned in for another episode of Break That Radio Show. I am your host, Andres, and we have another guest. Actually, my 100th guest of the year. I met my goal, and we're doing it via Zoom. Miss Alicia Torres. Thank you for, taking time out your busy day to be on the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So you're a podcaster, or do you consider yourself as like a potter? There's like language and stuff out there for podcasting. Oh, I've sort of like started embracing this stuff, but it's like way more to podcasting than I think that what people actually realizes. So
It is.
you have a podcast, I Am More Than Enough, period. And it's based off of personal experiences.
Correct.
So like give us the background of like what inspired it for you to like really jump out there and start doing it.
Okay, so in my intro, I say that I'm taking the mask off.
Mm-hmm.
For years, I had a mask. I didn't let people really know me or get close to me
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't want people to know the real me or see the real me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm taking the mask off. I'm telling people who I am. And I had to really dig deep. In 2015, I went on a spiritual journey
Mm-hmm.
because I was really, I didn't know myself at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I got tired being what people wanted me to be.
Mm-hmm.
Or what people, when they look at me, they thought who I was. As a young child, I was adopted. I was in a foster care. I was in a home that with people that didn't care about me, didn't love me. It was all about the money. I was, to put it lightly, a Cinderella.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up with low self-esteem, lack of confidence. But if you would look at me, you would never know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you didn't show it.
I didn't show it, no, at all. But my actions,
Mm-hmm.
such as being in relationships that I shouldn't have been in.
Yeah.
But I was searching for love.
Mm-hmm. And I guess I would imagine in the wrong places.
Right.
Yeah. I definitely like I know we talked before and everything, but I don't think I really got to like, tell you how I actually relate to your story because I was in foster care.
Mhm.
and I know what you went through. I was in foster care from the age of 15 all the way to like 22 because I wanted to go to school, and I like basically signed my rights to stay in the system so I could afford to go to school and go to college.
Mm,
But the not having a sense of belonging, I know exactly what you're talking about. And like you said, like searching for a connection with folks and putting your efforts into the wrong situations.
right.
I think it's a very under talked about experience
Hmm.
in general
Hmm.
because it's not happening to I'm like it happens to a lot of folks, but it's not happening on like a massive level.
Right.
Um, and I look at it like also like with disabled folks as well.
Hmm.
These issues aren't talked about a lot or whatever because it's not affecting a whole lot of people's lives.
Right.
And it's easy to like saying discard the notion of these are important topics because most people are not experiencing that and they don't really know how to I'm like some people can say they can have empathy and everything, but I think you really have to go through it and understand what someone goes through to really be able to be relatable to them.
Well,
So
it's
like
funny that you said that because last year I lost my vision.
mm,
I am legally blind.
okay.
Now, like you said, if you see me, you can't tell.
Hmm.
On my right eye, I'm blind. On my left eye, I have low vision.
Hmm.
So when people see me and I tell them, it's like, oh, they shocked.
Hmm.
They don't know what to say.
Hmm.
They say the dumbest things.
Hmm.
I had someone say, but you're still pretty anyway.
What does that have to do with you singing?
Thank you. Thank you. Or they say, oh, me too. I'm blind too. Let me get my glasses.
Yeah.
So they just don't know what to say. And I get it. I definitely get it.
Hmm.
But and that was part of me taking my mask off.
Hmm. Showing the vulnerabilities of a person and everything that you've gone through. So I believe you had your podcast for maybe a couple of years now. Is that
No,
correct?
no. It's only been since December 3rd of
Okay, so
this
of this year.
of this year.
Okay, I
Yeah.
was talking to somebody else too as well. I've been talking to a lot of potters. All
Hmm.
because I like. Okay, so I don't think like people understand, and I'm sure you've gotten a sense of this already.
Hmm.
Um, Podcasting, like when you do it as an individual, it's like a lonely sport. You don't get to
Hmm.
like really play with a whole lot of fellow teammates and stuff like that.
Right. Right.
Um, and a lot of people don't like support per se in the beginning until you like really start to establish yourself.
Hmm.
So it could be very discouraging and lonely feeling. And there's so much to do. And I think yours is just audio based, right? Or do you have
Yes.
video? Okay.
Yes.
Um, so with the audio, I'm like, one, it's a great connection to once you do connect to an audience. But as
Hmm.
far as like, all the technical stuff behind it, finding the right distributor and putting it out there so people can understand and what it's about and like, choosing subject matter that, where people would actually care and want to listen.
For me, it's very therapeutic.
Yeah.
You, I'm just telling my story, my
Mm-hmm.
experiences, because I want to let people know that who's whoever's been in my predicament to tell them that there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Mm-hmm. So
You, mhm.
as you're going through this journey and you're telling your truths and your stories and how is the audience connecting with you with it so far? And then also the people that know you know what I'm saying? Because everyone has like an inner circle, right?
Mhm.
And whether it be like friends, family, coworkers, whomever. And family is a loose term, by the way. I'm not like saying like blood relatives or whatever.
Right.
It's whoever
I
you have a
understand.
connection with. That's how I see the word family. It's not just like blood. It's I got friends that what I'm saying are family,
Hmm.
quote unquote family. They really ain't family. So
You can't pick your family, right?
you cannot. Um, so how are people receiving the information? How's your audience bonding with you and those in your inner circle? Like, because I know they know or know of that you're doing this and going on this journey. How are they receiving that as well?
Well, my inner circle, and I feel like I'm going to tear up. Um, and these are people that I have met through work.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I was a caretaker,
Mm-hmm.
and I used to take care of an elderly woman, and I
Mm-hmm.
got close to her family,
Mm-hmm.
and they consider me family.
Mm-hmm.
And I sent them the link of my podcast.
Mm-hmm.
They called me with tears in their eyes of happiness.
Oh wow, that is awesome.
Yeah. I mean, they were screaming. They're like, Alicia, I'm so happy for you. And they were just truly, truly happy
Mm-hmm.
for me.
That's what's up.
Yeah. So I've been getting very, very good feedback from my inner circle.
Mm-hmm. So how
Yeah.
far have you been able to expand it so far with your listening base and people tuning in and finding out about you?
Well, just word of mouth,
Mm-hmm.
people sharing.
Mm-hmm.
I have had two guests on so far.
Mm-hmm.
One was actually my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
She came on because she was the primary caretaker
Mm-hmm.
when this happened to me last year. So I wanted to let her tell her story.
Mm-hmm. I thought that was very powerful for both of y'all to witness that in real time.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we don't think about like stuff like that, like we just do, right?
Hmm.
And but to sit there and actually articulate the feelings and going through that and being able to have processed that, right? And
Hmm.
to have the space for that, to be able to voice whatever it was
Hmm.
being voiced is a powerful, resonating moment for both of y'all.
Yeah. I wanted to tell her thank you.
Hmm.
I told her thank you last year, but really sit down and face to face and tell her from the bottom of my heart how thankful
Hmm.
I am because she was only 17.
Oh wow!
Yeah, she was only
Yeah.
17 last year of
Hmm.
school,
Hmm.
and this happened in September when school started. So,
Hmm.
and yeah, I wasn't easy. I wasn't easy, quote unquote patient,
Hmm. Which
you
is
know.
understandable because it's a new challenge, but also
Mhm.
her taking on that burden of being able to do that
The
and
roles had
accepting it
turned. Hmm.
exactly, and dealing with that, and yeah, I'm like that's a lot for a 17-year-old because they're
It
like,
was. It was, and she was going through teenage stuff.
hmm
So plus that on top of what happened to me, it wasn't easy.
hmm
So
so as you because you're okay, so you're sharing like intimate moments in your life, right, and things that have
mhm.
happened to you. Do you like regulate what you put out there or is there like a limit to which you will be transparent with or how do you view that?
That's a good question. For now, I'm not
Okay.
because I want to reveal my truth. I want to put it out there,
Hmm.
and I want to be free.
Yeah, no, I definitely can I definitely understand that. And then, I tell a lot of people, especially when I run into them, I was talking to a young lady, I think she's in North Carolina. But, oh, by the way, where are you located? You're in Florida?
Charlotte,
Huh?
Charlotte.
Oh, you're in Charlotte. I was like, you're in North
Mhm.
Carolina too? No, okay, sorry. So she was in Florida, I think. Okay, you're in North Carolina. But just side note, you sound like you got like New York or something, and you or
I,
you
I
from New
just moved here. I just moved here
So
in
was it
August.
the weather that finally drove you crazy to get you down to like a southern
Well,
state or
it's a little bit of both.
okay.
Yeah, I just, decided that it's over. I'm over New York,
Yeah. Yeah, well,
packing my bags. Well, you know what? My daughter, she goes to South Carolina University State.
okay.
So when she went to South Carolina,
Hmm.
I came here to North Carolina.
Okay. So I'm like you're still close but like far away, so you can still have like some
Right.
life
Two
there.
hours.
Yeah. Okay, this
Mhm.
what's up. Um so oh shoot, what was like I had an original point I was gonna make, but these are, but I like the sidebar conversations as well because you really get to learn a person when you podcast, interview, and all that stuff, and it's like a conversation. It's not even like really
Right.
an interview, like I call it that or whatever, but it's more of a conversation that's just recorded between
That's
two
what
different people.
that's what I said. I say it's just a discussion. We just having a conversation.
Yeah,
It's not an interview.
yeah, it's not. Okay, so what are you liking about like podcasting this so far? And then is there anything with podcasting and putting yourself out there that you don't like?
Well, I do like that I get to tell my story. I
Hmm.
do like that. And I like that whatever was heavy on my shoulders is
Hmm.
being lifted.
Yeah. No, like you said, it's therapeutic. So I could definitely get that, and especially with like, what I'm saying, talking about your life and your experiences. So
Mhm.
at what point, what do you choose to talk about as far as like, 'cause, like you live this life and you have all these different experiences and some of them correlate with one another and then some of them are just separate. So how do you determine what you're going to put out there and which like subject matter takes precedence?
Actually, it just comes to me.
Okay.
The one that I did with my daughter, I'm just sitting here and I said, I need to do a part two
Okay.
because I did episode two explaining what happened to me.
Hmm.
Now I said I need to do a part two explaining um, about like caregivers,
Hmm.
family that had to deal with this also.
Hmm.
So
So
sometimes huh?
no, 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 go ahead.
Sometimes like I said, it just comes to me, or someone will bring up something, and I'll say to myself, you know what? That sounds like a good episode.
Okay.
Mhm.
Um, so okay, so you haven't I guess you really haven't experienced anything that you don't like so far yet about the industry.
Not yet.
Okay. Well, it's coming.
Oh yeah, I believe it. I, I believe it.
Well, let's see. I never set out like when I did mine. I never set out to like just do like the conversation with me just talking. I always wanted to do like the interview style.
Mhm.
So all of mine, I always got a guess. Now I did at first do some without a guess, and like I had like talking points and stuff like that or whatever. But I was like, to me, like what I'm saying, it's not enough. What is it? I don't want to say like what I'm saying it's bad to just be like just a single voice or whatever, but to me I need like the back and forth. I need the banter. I need the colorfulness of the conversation, the dynamics, all that stuff. Because I think what I'm saying we can get caught up in like going through the motions or whatever. and talking to somebody else will actually help bring out the conversation and make it like fuller.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, but I'm like, there are a lot of people though who just, what I'm saying, who are like real structured and stuff, which is cool.
Right.
You can listen to them and they have all these different things. Do you, no, go ahead.
I do have one thing. When I'm doing my podcast by myself,
Hmm.
I try to do 15 minutes to 30 minutes, and I'm having a hard time with that.
Hmm. Yeah, actually that was going to lead into my next question. I was going to ask you about like the time because I'm sitting there looking at Spotify and I see the different times and stuff and see that they're somewhat short, considering like
Right.
podcasts and stuff. And like that is a thing when you add someone else to the element, then it can extend those times because like I've had conversations with people where we just go left for like 10 minutes or so, and then I gotta like reel it back in
Okay.
and think about like okay, is it in my head like I'm producing the podcast as I'm in real time doing it. So it's like I got my things that I want to hit, and then I was like, you know what? I can't just go far left of this because this wasn't the whole episode. This wasn't what it really was about. But I'm like, it's cool to get off topic or whatever because in casual conversation with folks, that's what happens. We don't
Right.
just singularly stay on one particular topic. So what do you expect to like get out of podcasting? Like in the like long run, or are you setting goals or anything, or are you just like having fun right now?
Actually, I want to go international.
Okay.
I want to inspire people all around the world.
That's what's up. I'm like, if you have a platform, I'm like, to do it. Especially, I think you distribute through Anchor, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm like, the more consistent you with it, and the more you put out, the bigger your audience becomes, and it starts going international. Um,
Okay.
Mine has done that. Like, I think I'm in 17 different countries right now.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's like I was sitting there looking at my numbers, and they keep rising. Like, I've gotten more listeners out of Germany here recently. When I
Wow.
upload episodes, and it'll show you in the analytics and stuff as well.
Okay.
So, have you always considered yourself like a creator or saying that type of person?
No.
So, how do
No.
you view yourself now that you sit there and because that's what you're doing. You're creating something, and you're
Mhm.
doing a couple of things at this particular moment. You're a creator because you're
Mhm.
coming up with content to put out. You
Mhm.
also like you share your story and you're branding yourself, whatever, and you're making a what do you want? No,
Mhm.
I told you. No, I told you I'm in my interview. Go on. Bye. No, close the door. Go. Bye. Yep. Yep. No, I'm sorry, they do this all the time. Like I'm in my office and they got stuff that they can listen to or whatever and play with. No, let me finish my conversation. No, close the door. I'm like, I don't know why they do this to me. I'll be doing this stuff. They know I've been doing this for years too. It's crazy, kids. But you're building your platform, you're building the name, and the more you can do it consistently, like it'll get bigger and bigger and bigger because you have to advertise that and things of that nature. So I imagine at some particular point, what I'm saying, you run into a situation where then you have to be like mindful of what you put out or
Right.
not necessarily what you say, but like
Mhm.
maybe how you say it and
Mhm.
people receive something the wrong way because you'll have influence as well. I'm like, it's
Mhm.
all this stuff that comes with it that we don't necessarily think about when we get into it. Because yours is just telling your truth.
Yeah, I'm telling my truth, and I know that's going to happen.
Hmm.
Not a lot of people are going to agree with me,
Yeah. So do you?
and
Uh-huh.
that's to be expected.
Yeah. Which is fine, when people don't agree. So do you think any of your previous jobs or things that you've done in life have like really prepared you to like put yourself out there like this? Because I'm like, it's a totally different way of putting yourself out there.
Well, I've been in healthcare for 30 years.
Okay.
So I am a nurturer.
Hmm.
Um, maybe. maybe it has helped me because dealing with patients
Hmm.
and all kinds of patients, from psych to the elderly,
Hmm.
the drug and rehab.
Hmm. Definitely, I could see that where the skill
Mm,
set and dealing like you said with patience with the T, but then
yes,
also having patience.
with a C.
Uh huh.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I've seen some where people jump out there and they just like want instant results and stuff like that, and it doesn't happen that way.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
It's like I had this conversation with somebody about podcasts, and they said like they don't like the term that it's a marathon because it's not really that either. And I can understand where they're coming from. Like how people use the analogy, it's not a sprint or whatever, it's a marathon, but it's not really a marathon either because it's not going to take like 4 years to build up the name or whatever. I think in
Right.
my instance, it only took me. Well, one, I had already been networking and stuff like that, and like I'm an outrovert or whatever. You know, I talk to a lot of different people. Like I'll walk up to strangers to start talking to them. Because
Wow.
you never know what someone's story is. Like
I
there's so much
always say you
information.
never know who's your next angel is going to be.
Yeah, you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so in doing so, I think I got mine going within like maybe about 6 months. Really, like where people saw I was consistent, and it just kept popping from there and growing and expanding to where now
Yeah.
it's like visual and like I said, all the stuff I'm doing as well, producing and editing and all that stuff, video editing. Um, so I know like even with yours, you have an editing side just for the audio. How do you like that? Um,
I love it.
okay, that's
I love it. Um, I don't have to get done up.
mhm. Yeah, yeah. Imagine like
um,
women, yeah. Like me, like, look, this is like about the this is only because I got my hair cut like last week or something like that.
uh,
Normally it'd be like all scruffy and stuff like that. Now I'm like, no, I'm a man, I'm simple. I'm really, you know what I'm saying? I get it though, because women, I think society like put y'all on too many like standards and stuff, and you gotta like have
right.
done and hair done and look this way and all that stuff. And I'm like, just take the beauty as it is. You know what I'm saying? That's the way I
That's
look at it.
easy said than
Yeah, I
done.
know. And
Okay.
I understand where you're coming from. So yeah, as you get bigger though, you gotta put in your budget.
Right.
So do you
Right.
like the direction? Do you think about like the direction where you want to take your platform and like, what do you want to like, achieve short term and stuff? So like, what you trying to do for the rest of this year and then what you trying to get done by.
Yeah. You know what? I want to write a book.
Okay.
I definitely want to do that. I want to do women conferences,
Hmm.
merch.
Okay. You're in the right direction.
That's just the listen. That's just the beginning.
Yeah. No, no, I know people like, they use their platform, and which you should. It's your platform to be able to
Mhm.
push and have like, auxiliary forms of income coming in
Yes.
and being able to monetize your platform, which, I tell people like even right now, what I'm saying, you can monetize your platform. It's just how you look at it. And it's actually I tell people this as well. Like I sell ads, right, for my content. And I got
Mm.
like product placement, all that stuff, right? Over ad mentions, whatever the case may be, commercials, because I could do it all. But then also, I've been compensated not to run ads on certain interviews,
Mm.
and so my guests were like, "Hey, I don't want any ads around my interview." I said, "Well, you got to pay for that because I don't do this for free."
That's right. That's
And
right.
they compensate me. And I don't think that they talk about that form of your platform and stuff.
Mhm.
Even with like your social media now, like all your stuff added together equals a certain amount of engagement and watch. And based off of what you're putting out there in your brand and all that, there's a business or another subsequent brand or an event that needs to be matched up with that audience. So therefore, that's what advertising is. That's how I tell people anyway. I'm like, it's a new form of advertising. Um, so I'm like, there's opportunities for a lot of different stuff. And then on top of that, like you're learning skill sets that a lot of other people don't want to learn or don't want to do, like
Yeah.
editing, like your audio and stuff, and having like an intro, outro, all that stuff, doing voiceovers, all those different things, those skill sets are
Um,
valuable.
I have a lot to learn.
Well, hey, just selfish, shameless plug. I have a whole video I've done just on monetizing your platform, and then I think I'm gonna do like a couple more series of like going into depth because I've mentioned one my feedback from the people who watched it and paid for it and all that. They were like, "Man, it's fantastic information." Now we want like breakdowns of this particular area and this particular area, this particular area. I was like, so this is something I'm gonna work on over this holiday season and stuff, to like roll out for like 2023 sometime, probably like mid January, late January, something like that. As soon as I can get to it and do it, because I've been doing this for so long, and like
Yeah.
February would make 7 years for me. Like
Wow.
yeah, and this was not my original intent, just like it wasn't your original intent.
Hmm.
Um, I got into podcasting and pushing this platform because at one particular point I was an active recording artist and I was going on other people's platforms, podcasts and stuff like that, going to interviews. And because like how we got this one-on-one interview, right? I was booking myself on platforms, but I was like, it was like 3, 4 different guests or whatever at the time. And I didn't like that, even though I liked the opportunity because I only got like 5, 10 minutes or whatever. And I'm like, how can the audience really connect to me if there's like multiple guests and I stand out? And I was like, I can't. So then I finally listened to my wife and she's like, no, you should just start your own. And like, I think it actually took me 2 years after she mentioned that for me to actually go and do it because I
Hmm.
was doing other stuff at the time as well. But I saw where I can do the correlation of, okay, start my own podcast slash radio station because it is still a digital radio station as well. Got a
Right.
website. I have an app. People can listen to music 365 all over the world, and it has listeners too. And I got ads and stuff on it as well. Um, and I was like, started with that and putting my voice out there and stuff, and started interviewing all these artists that I had relationships with, and then it just grew from there. Business people, politicians, anybody entrepreneurial, and especially in our community, doing great things. And then when I added like the Zoom feature, like half of my guests of the 100, since you're guest number 100, and I'm like, you're in North Carolina. A few, let's see here, probably actually looking at, I have a whiteboard where I have all my guests written on, and half of my list is not in the city that I'm in, which is Macon, Georgia. They're either outside of Macon in like another city inside of Georgia, or they're out of state. And
Wow. Okay.
yeah, I've interviewed people from California to Indiana, Ohio, um, Jamaica, all sorts of different places. Florida, North Carolina, some other North Carolina folks. Actually, there's a podcaster in North Carolina. I'm gonna hook you up with, Ty Wonder. You said which city you said you were in Charlotte?
Charlotte, Charlotte.
She might be in Charlotte. I have to
Okay.
hit her up. I actually met her at a podcast conference in Atlanta, and she came down. I went up to Atlanta. It was 2 days. It was Memorial Day weekend, so that Saturday and that Sunday,
Mhm.
there was a podcast conference there. And when I found out about it, I bought tickets. I went. I networked with a lot of other different people. I did not get to do like I took my camera up there, and I didn't get to talk to her at the particular time, but I did tell her I want to talk to her and do an interview. So we finally did that. She was, I'm actually looking at her right now. She's number 77. Um, but I think she's in Charlotte as well. But I'll
Yeah.
check on it. She's Ty Winder, and her podcast is Tea Time with Ty. She also does production. She has like 2 other podcasts as well. So as you like growing your creativity, I can imagine that, you're going to love it so much that you're probably going to end up creating subsequent things as well.
Okay.
Um, that's what it looks like to me as far as like podcasting and creating all this other
Yeah.
stuff. Start to create one thing and then you build up this base for it.
Hmm.
And then especially if you're talking about topics that people don't normally talk about, that's so refreshing. Um, because most people when they start something, they're talking about stuff that is just out there and that's already out there in the mainstream and stuff like that. So when you're talking about stuff that's more niched, um, and talking about your experiences, and especially everything that you've gone through, foster care and looking for love in the wrong places and all that stuff, people don't talk about that a lot, and that's
Right.
gonna make people like gravitate towards you even more, and just like really hold on and become like a core audience member. And then out of that, I'm sure it's gonna birth some more stuff as well.
But
Um,
that's what I want. That's why I want to be open, and I want to inspire people
yeah,
that
definitely.
and let them know that they are not alone.
No, they're not, and I think that's the one of the great things about you sharing your story through your podcast and talking about it is that you show people that they're not alone and
Right.
that other people do go through this, and it's so much that we as a community experience and individually that we experience all this different trauma and things of that nature and think that we're alone in this endeavor when we're not. So I definitely love the fact that you're doing that and you're being transparent with it.
Thank you.
So let's see, I'm trying to think, is there anything that we haven't talked about that you want to talk about?
um, First of all, thank you for giving me the feedback on my podcast,
Hmm.
on my episodes. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Um, I'm just learning as I'm going. I'm learning.
Hmm.
Uh, is there any podcasts like groups that you know of?
Besides the ones like, which one did I meet you in? Is it the Black Podcast Network or was it a different one?
The Black.
So we got that one. I'm like, there's a few more. Um, this is how I've been able to like, because I've been a part of some of these groups for about, I would say about 9 months to a year now.
Hmm.
And my observation with all the different groups, um, online is just like in person, as far as like how people are responding and reacting. And the reason I say that is because sometimes people have to meet other people in person to really gravitate and really want to do something with them. But I've always been of the mindset like I'll talk to anybody online as long as they're going to do stuff and put in the work, and we can
Right.
make stuff happen. Um, and that's the sense I get from like people online. You have to like really talk to a few people um, before like things really start moving and shaking and stuff. Because people don't know. But I'm
Right.
like, you should get a sense of if you're communicating through someone via like sending voice messages and stuff. You should be able to hear the sincerity in someone's
Yes.
voice. You see what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So like
Hmm.
when you was doing that with me, I was like, okay, one, I enjoyed that. One, because I got to hear
Hmm.
your voice, and you can put a voice with a picture and all that stuff, whatever. But
Right.
you also get to hear the sincerity in their voice.
Right.
You can judge for yourself whether or not you want to work with that person. But I just take the groups like they are. Like I try to meet as many people, and I've met some fantastic people from the groups.
Yeah.
And not just like podcast groups, but like since you do like an interview style as well, people in your area, right? You could probably go and find like, okay, are there any like support groups for like former foster care
Mm.
individuals, and
Mm.
people who've made like traumatic, people who've had trauma and used love or tried to find love using the wrong methods. I'm sure there's
Mhm.
support groups for that. You can probably search that out, and then that way you can actually bring them into your podcast. And I think that would actually expand your audience as well. Like, because I remember you asking me, like, as far as like getting more listeners and stuff like that.
Right.
But
Yes.
who you're telling your story to connect with the other people who have gone through that. And I'm telling you, that vehicle right there alone should help you over the next couple of months expand like rapidly. And then, you know what I'm saying, you can expand beyond that, you know what I'm saying, to more general audiences as well. But always keep like that theme going. And then like, you know, as you get bigger and stuff like that, you don't like have to I wouldn't say alienate your audience or whatever, but you can expand it into other realms and, you know, talking to like, you know, psychologists and therapists and things of that nature who deal with trauma, looking at trauma and like even going and talking to caseworkers and stuff, the ones that the state would like to talk to, because I've done that before as well. Some of them, you know, you have to get clearances and stuff because they look at it like media.
Yeah.
Um, or you can talk to like former workers and they don't have to give specific case names, but they can give like specifics of situations that happen. And then other people who are involved in the foster care system that necessarily aren't the caretakers of the child or children, but have to interact with the children, like, you know, boys and girls clubs or people who see them as well. It's like auxiliary, like, you know what I'm saying, caretakers, for lack of a better term, but they come in
Right.
contact with them. So they have some like understanding of how that system is as well. Like, you know, talk to them about like, you know, what was their experience? What do they think that, you know, things could like could be done to make things better? You know, all sorts of stuff that way. I think that would definitely, you know what I'm saying, expand and give notoriety to that industry and the industries
Right.
adjacent to it,
Mhm.
and provide a vehicle where people can like, you know, really absorb this information and put things out there and make it more like, you know, mainstream known.
Those are good tips.
Yeah, like, you
Those are
know,
definitely good tips.
yeah, you know, something to think about.
No, but I was thinking about it as you were talking, and especially like the caretakers,
hmm
and like you then I was thinking about mentors.
hmm Yeah, because I'm like, you know, I'm telling you, go and network and with you, you know, what I'm saying, having your healthcare background, I'm like, you're used to talking to people,
Yes.
so
Hmm.
this is just changing the environment and how you talk to people, and then you know why you're talking to them, but it's still talking to people.
Right.
And that right there, I'm like, you know, you can just like easily pull up, send them a link, you know, have a QR code, they can scan it, you know what I'm saying? Let them like, hey, familiarize yourself with the subject matter, and then, you know, we can move forward if you want to and start establishing our relationships. And you can probably end up getting sponsors and stuff as well, I would imagine. You know what I'm saying? That's how I think of it. I'm more like a hybrid type of a creative and a business person at the same time. So I'm
I
always thinking
see.
about, you know, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, P. Um, it wouldn't be hard for me to like help roll something out like that if there's something I was working on at the time. But I'm like, I'm here for you though. You know what I'm saying? Like, shoot me any ideas, text, whatever the case may be, voicemail, all that, voice call, all that stuff, whatever. But let people know um, where can they find you at? How can they follow? How can they be a part of your audience and listen and really hear your story?
Okay. My name is Alicia, and you can find me on IG as I am more than enough, period, and underscore after every word. Alicia Torres on Facebook and on the Owl app, and that's OWWLL as Alicia Torres. And of course, my podcast, I Am More Than Enough, period.
Well, Ms. Torres, thank you for sharing your story and coming on and being my 100th interview for the year. So
Um,
now I can say I have accomplished my goal that I set out for this year. But I really do appreciate you taking your time out your day. Um,
I appreciate you and had such a great time.
well, you know, if you didn't, I wouldn't be doing my job.
No, I did. I really did. You made me feel comfortable. I had a great time.
Well, you know, this is what an experience interview feels like. So remember this feeling
Yeah.
as you go forward and do future interviews. If it doesn't feel like this, you're like, y'all don't know what y'all doing.
No,
Um,
no, yeah. No, I really enjoyed myself. This is my first live interview, so
okay. Well, you know, this is what it's supposed to feel like. But yeah, but thank you though. For everybody out there, y'all go check out I Am More Than Enough period podcast with Miss Alicia Torres, and you can find her all over Spotify and all these other different platforms that Anchor distributes through Apple, Google Podcasts, Bullhorn, all that stuff. Thank you, ma'am. And you know, I'd love to do like a follow up interview. You know, 6 months or so, see how you're progressing. You know, and just like I said, you have access to me, so you know, anytime you need to hit me up, you know,
yes.
words and stuff like that, just let me know.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.
Have a good day.
You too.
Со мной молодые братья. Мы возьмем котлеты наличных себе на завтрак. Сегодня, завтра, неважно как я. You